Bedtime Stories with Grandpa. The Fisherman and His Wife. Once upon a time, there was a fisherman and his wife. They lived together in a tiny, smelly mud hut right by the sea. Every day, the fisherman would take his fishing rod and walk down to the shore to fish. He sat for hours, staring quietly into the shiny, rippling water, waiting for something to bite. One day, as he sat patiently, his fishing line suddenly sank deep, deep down. When he pulled it up, he had caught a great big flounder. But this was no ordinary fish. The flounder looked at him with kind, wise eyes and said, "Please, dear fisherman, let me go. I'm not really a fish. I'm an enchanted prince. What good would it do you to keep me? I wouldn't taste nice anyway. Please put me back and let me swim free." "Well," said the fisherman, amazed, "a talking fish. If you can talk, I suppose you should swim free." So he gently let the flounder slip back into the glistening sea. As it disappeared below, it left a shimmering trail in the water. The fisherman stood up and walked back to his wife in their little mud hut. "Well," said his wife, "did you catch anything today?" "No," he answered, "just a flounder, but it said it was an enchanted prince, so I let it go." "You didn't wish for anything?" she asked eagerly. "No," he said. "What would I wish for?" "Oh dear," she said, waving her hands. "It's so uncomfortable living in this tiny hut. You could have at least wished for a small cottage. Go back and ask the flounder for one. He'll surely say yes." "Why should I go back?" asked the fisherman. "Because you caught him and set him free. He'll want to thank you. Now go." The fisherman wasn't sure about it, but he wanted to make his wife happy. So he walked back to the sea. This time, the sea was no longer clear and still. It had turned greenish and yellow, swirling gently. He stood at the edge and called, "Flounder, flounder, in the sea, come, for my wife speaks not like me." The flounder swam up through the waves and asked, "Well, what does she want?" "My wife doesn't want the mud hut anymore," said the fisherman politely. "She would like a little cottage instead." "Go home," said the flounder kindly. "She already has it." So the fisherman walked home, and to his delight, the old mud hut was gone. In its place stood a cozy little cottage with a neat roof and flower pots on the windowsills. His wife sat happily on a bench by the door. "Come in," she said cheerfully. "Isn't this so much better?" Inside the cottage was lovely. There was a small front hall, a cheerful sitting room, a bedroom with a soft bed, and a kitchen with shiny dishes and copper pots. There was even a pantry full of food. Out back, they had a garden with vegetables and fruit trees, and a yard with chickens and ducks clucking and quacking. "See?" said the wife. "Isn't it nice?" "Yes," said the fisherman happily. "This is wonderful. We can live here very well." "We'll see," said the wife. They ate a warm meal and went to bed. For about 2 weeks, they lived peacefully. But one day the wife said, "Listen, this cottage feels too small, And the yard and garden are tiny too. That flounder could have given us a proper stone castle. I'd like to live in a grand palace now. Go ask him." "Oh dear," said the fisherman. "The cottage is nice. Why would we need a castle?" "It would be wonderful," she said brightly. "Just go. The flounder can do it, I'm sure." "No, wife," he said gently. "He already gave us the cottage. Maybe we shouldn't ask again. He might become unhappy." "Just go," said his wife. "He's powerful and generous. He'll do it." The fisherman felt unsure. "This doesn't feel right," he whispered to himself. But he went anyway. When the fisherman reached the sea again, the water had turned deep violet, dark blue, and cloudy gray. It looked thick and restless, not calm and bright anymore. But it was still peaceful. He stood by the shore and called out softly, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, come, for my wife speaks not like me." The flounder rose up through the waves. "Well, what does she want now?" "Oh," sighed the fisherman, feeling sad and unsure. "She wants to live in a great stone castle." "Go home," said the flounder kindly. "She's already standing at the door." The fisherman walked back, and what a sight met his eyes! Gone was the cottage. In its place stood a wonderful stone palace. His wife was standing on the marble steps, smiling. She took his hand and said cheerfully, "Come on in." Inside was a grand hall with shiny marble floors, golden chairs, tall mirrors, and shimmering crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. Every room had soft rugs and elegant furniture. The tables were set with sparkling dishes, delicious food, and sweet juices, so much that it seemed ready to overflow with joy. Behind the palace was a giant courtyard with horses and cows and comfortable stables, fancy carriages and gardens bursting with roses, tulips, and fruit trees. There was even a lovely park nearby filled with friendly deer, rabbits, and birds singing happily. "Well," said the wife, "isn't it beautiful?" "Oh, yes," said the fisherman. "Let's stay here and live happily." "We'll see," said the wife. "Let's sleep on it." The next morning, just as the sun was rising, the wife woke first and looked out from her golden bed. The land stretched before her beautifully. The fisherman was still sleeping, so she gently nudged him awake. "Wake up! Look out the window! Shouldn't we be king and queen over all this land? Go ask the flounder. I want to be king." "Oh no," said the fisherman gently. "Why would we want to be king? I'm just a fisherman." "Well then," said the wife firmly, "if you won't be king, I will. Go now, I want to be king." But that seems too much," said the fisherman softly. "I shouldn't ask for that." "Why not?" she asked. "Go right now. I must be king." So the man went, feeling unhappy. "This doesn't feel right," he thought sadly, but he went anyway. When he arrived at the sea, the water was deep gray, almost black. It bubbled gently from below and smelled strange. He stood there and called politely, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, come, for my wife speaks not like me." The flounder rose up once more. "Well, what does she want now?" "Oh," said the man quietly, "she wants to be king." "Go home," said the flounder calmly. She already is. If you're enjoying this story, give it a like and subscribe for more magical tales. The fisherman returned, and the palace had grown even grander. Now it had tall towers, beautiful decorations, and friendly guards at the gate, smiling and waving kindly. Inside, everything gleamed with gold and polished stone. Soft velvet carpets lined the floors. The great doors to the royal hall opened, and there sat his wife on a sparkling golden throne. She wore a shining crown, and in her hand was a royal scepter. On each side stood 6 friendly helpers, each smiling warmly. The fisherman stood amazed. "Oh my," he whispered. "Are you really king now?" "Yes," said his wife happily. "Now I am king." He looked at her for a long moment and then said kindly, "You look wonderful. Now let's stop wishing. We have everything." But the wife grew restless again. "There's still more we could have. Go back to the flounder. I'm king now, but I must become emperor." "Oh no," said the fisherman gently. "Why do you want to be emperor?" "Go to the flounder," she insisted. "I want to be emperor." "But he can't make you emperor," said the man. "That's too much to ask." "What?" she said firmly. "I'm king, and you're my husband. Go! If he can make me king, he can make me emperor." So the man had to go, but this time he felt very uneasy. As he walked, he thought, "This is going too far. Emperor is just too much. The flounder might not like this." When the fisherman reached the sea again, it was dark and thick, swirling restlessly. The waves churned, sending up big, heavy bubbles. The wind blew strongly across the shore, making the fisherman shiver. He stood nervously at the edge and called, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, come, for my wife speaks not like me." "What does she want now?" asked the flounder gently. "Oh, flounder," said the man softly, "my wife, she wants to be emperor." "Go home," said the flounder calmly. "She already is." So the man returned, and now the palace was even grander. It was made entirely of polished marble, with statues and golden decorations glittering everywhere. Outside, people marched cheerfully. Music played joyfully, and everything felt festive. Inside, even important people hurried about, smiling and serving gladly. The golden doors opened, and there sat his wife on a throne made of solid gold, higher and grander than anything he had ever imagined. She wore a huge golden crown, sparkling with diamonds and glowing red gems. In one hand, she held a beautiful golden scepter, and in the other, an imperial orb. Lining the hall were friendly guards of all sizes, from giant protectors as tall as towers to cheerful little helpers no bigger than his finger. Princes and dukes stood waiting before her, bowing politely. The fisherman stepped forward and asked softly, "Wife, are you now emperor?" "Yes," she said proudly, "I am emperor." He stared at her in wonder and said gently, "Oh, wife, how grand you look as emperor." But she didn't smile. "Husband," she said restlessly, "why are you just standing there? I'm emperor now, but I want more. I wish to be the leader of the whole world." Go to the flounder. I want to lead everyone today." "Oh, wife," said the man gently, "you already lead a whole empire. Why would you want more?" "Don't be foolish," she said firmly. "If he can make me emperor, he can surely do this. Go to him now." I don't think I should ask that," said the man quietly. "It seems too much." "Go at once," she insisted. "I'm emperor, and you're my husband. Now go." Nervously, the man turned to leave. His legs shook, and his heart felt heavy. A strong wind blew across the land, gently swaying the trees, and clouds drifted quickly through the darkening sky. The sea rolled restlessly, with waves splashing loudly against the shore. Far off, he saw ships bobbing safely but quickly in the rolling waves. Only a small patch of blue remained in the sky, and to the south, gentle lightning flickered softly like distant lanterns. The fisherman stood quietly at the shore and whispered kindly, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, come, for my wife speaks not like me." "What does she want now?" asked the flounder gently. "Oh," said the man, his voice shaking, "she wants to lead the whole world." "Go home," said the flounder calmly. "She already does." So the man went back again. When he arrived, there stood a magnificent building surrounded by lovely palaces. Crowds filled the square, smiling and cheerful. Inside, the whole place sparkled with thousands of beautiful lights. His wife sat dressed in shining gold, high up on a throne taller than ever before. She wore a golden crown covered in dazzling jewels, and all around her stood kind helpers and advisors in colorful robes. On each side, candles flickered brightly in rows, from huge candles as thick as trees to tiny ones as delicate as flowers. And leaders from everywhere gathered around, smiling respectfully. "Wife," whispered the man, gazing up, "do you really lead the world now?" "Yes," she said proudly. "Now I lead everyone." He stared at her in amazement. The lights shone around her as if she were the sun itself. "Oh, wife," he said, "how beautiful you look." But she sat stiffly and didn't smile. "Wife," he said gently, "now you lead the whole world. Surely there's nothing higher you can wish for?" "We'll see," she said quietly. Then they went to bed, but she could not rest. She felt uneasy, thinking of what more she could become. When dawn broke and she saw the sky turning pink, she sat up. Through the window, she watched the glowing sun rise. She thought, "Why can't I control the sun and moon myself?" "Husband," she called, gently nudging him awake, "go to the flounder. I want to control the sun and moon. I want to be as powerful as the sky itself." The man sat up, surprised. What did you say?" "I can't bear it," she cried impatiently. "I must sit and watch the sun and moon rise without controlling them myself. I have no peace. I must control the heavens. Now please go." He knelt down beside her. "Oh, wife, please, the flounder can't do that. He gave you so much already. Please stay as you are." But her eyes shone with determination. She stood up quickly, pointing toward the door. "I won't wait. Go, please." He got dressed quickly and hurried outside. A great storm was blowing. The wind howled loudly and pushed strongly against him. Trees swayed and houses shook slightly. The sky was dark gray, and gentle lightning flashed softly in the distance. The sea rose high, with powerful waves splashing wildly, as tall as hills, with tops foaming white like cotton clouds. The fisherman called out through the noisy wind, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, come, for my wife speaks not like me." The flounder rose gently. "Well, what does she want now?" it asked softly. "Oh," whispered the man, She wants to control the sun and moon and sky itself." The flounder looked at him kindly. "Go home," said the flounder. "She is already back in the mud hut." And there they sit to this very day. And so the fisherman and his wife returned to their little hut by the sea. Maybe they finally learned that always wanting more and more doesn't make you happier. Sometimes wishing too hard can make good things disappear. The greatest happiness comes from being thankful for what you already have. So, little ones, remember, a kind heart and a grateful smile mean more than all the riches in the world. And sometimes having just enough is perfectly right.